Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Untitled Chapter TV. I'm your host for tonight's show, G Talks Arsenal, as ever. And obviously, we're here tonight to do the Arsenal versus Newcastle preview show. No Stephen, no Stephen for the start at least. I have had the latest that he might join us a little bit later in the show. He's had some issues with his boiler and stuff, so just sorting that out his end. So hopefully he'll be joining us before we close tonight's show. But I am here with the lovely Lottie, and I have to say, Lottie, you are putting in some work. You are putting in some work. This is Lottie's. Just for those of you who don't know, this is Lottie's fourth stream this week. So she joined me on Monday for the review show of the Liverpool game, which wasn't a great show, really. She was back on Tuesday for the Lottie show, official Lottie show. Was it Wednesday or Tuesday? Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday night. It was my last Arsenal ladies show before the international break. So
excellent. And then Thursday night, which was last night, saw the debut show for the England Lionesses, which was great with one of our good friends, G, aka Georgina. And obviously you're here tonight. So yeah, you've been putting in that work. So apart from feeling tired, how are you feeling?
Do you know what? I've had better days, especially this evening. If anyone's seen my tweets, they've seen my tweets. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had better evenings. I was okay until I picked up my phone. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
About an hour and a bit ago. So, but how are you?
You know what? I'm good. I can't complain. I've had a somewhat busy week. Obviously with work and just family and stuff like that. I wasn't feeling too great on Monday, but I think it was the dinner I cooked. Remember I cooked up that rice and chicken and pepper.
Do you know what? From what you sounded like over the WhatsApp group, you sounded a lot more ill than you actually looked and sounded.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people said. Actually, a lot of people said. And my missus was like, "You just got man flu, man. Stop moaning."
I'm with you. I'm with her on that one. I'm with her with that one.
Other than that, I picked up really. By Wednesday, I felt pretty back to normal, really. So I'm kind of glad, like whatever was trying to get me didn't get me. So other than that, I'm good, man. So yeah, I guess we'll probably just run the intro, and then we'll get started.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's
Yes, a good evening, everyone, and welcome back. So yeah, obviously tonight's show, we're going to be looking ahead to tomorrow lunchtime kickoff against Newcastle, which for some reasons, I would say, or obvious reasons, it's a really, really important game, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show. But before we kind of get onto all of that, obviously we're going to do a bit of a news roundup. Let you guys know what's happening in the world of football. To be honest, I don't know how you couldn't have missed it because, the Man United fans are like just absolutely going crazy for this gentleman here. Now, I got to be honest. I have to be completely honest. When the tweets or the news or whatever was breaking that, this guy, they'd signed this guy for 6 months, interim manager, I had to Google him. To be honest, like I'd heard of the name, but I had to kind of my knowledge of him is within kind of a senior role within Lokomotiv Moscow, and I thought to myself, okay, so I get the whole 2-year consultancy thing when he does, but the 6 months and like we're gonna be United's back and blah blah blah. I had to kind of Google this guy and think like, am I missing something here? So obviously this news is broken. I think it's been pretty much confirmed, other than Manchester United haven't officially confirmed it, but it's pretty obvious that he's going to be the next manager of Manchester United until the end of the season. What are your initial thoughts, Lottie, on this one?
I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't know who the hell he is. I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't know who he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I literally, because of his name, I thought, do you know what? I wonder if James Rowe knows something about him. And he gave me some information, but it wasn't that fantastic. So, as much as, like, well, it was fantastic because it was James, but it was more of a case of I still don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, the United are back, and I'm sitting when you said that, I was sitting there thinking, I can see the Rio Ferdinand meme of Ole. Whatever he wants, get them trophies in, we are back. And I'm sitting there thinking, ding ding, round 2, let's go. I mean, surely he hasn't got more experience than Mikel. I don't even know this guy.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, and it's funny because I'm going to bring up, good evening to Russ and Joseph, just brought up your comments there. But I'm going to bring up this comment because it's so funny because like me and Tom obviously had this conversation. I think it was this morning when he was on his way to work. Hopefully you got to work on time, Tom. Really hope you got to work on time. Basically, obviously I knew of this guy, but I didn't really know of him. So in terms of, when I say that in terms of a manager capacity, so you know, I Googled it and I went on like Transfer Checker. There's a couple of decent websites where you can look up people's kind of career history. And to be honest, managerial wise, like he's nicknamed the godfather of German football coaching. And I think that kind of comes from like the influence he had on the likes of Klopp and Tuchel and some of those managers that are coming through. So he kind of in a way paved the way for those guys in terms of his philosophy of football, etc. But as a manager himself, which I don't primarily feel as though that's why they're bringing him in, because it's just for the 6 months. It's more for the consultancy role at the end of that. But as a manager, he's won, when I looked it up, I think he won, I think 4 or 5 more trophies than Ole has, considering he's 15 years older than Ole. And those trophies that he's won, I think from what I saw, there were a couple of Austrian league titles and a couple of German cups. So I don't really get, I honestly don't understand the excitement of Man United fans, if I'm completely honest. I just don't get it. Like for me, he's basically filling a gap between now and the end of the season. And in terms of the consultancy role, you know, the 2-year contract at the end of the first 6 months, that's neither here nor there. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't really know how successful he's going to be in that role. And you don't necessarily, like, you're not even going to be able to really measure until probably a couple of years down the line in terms of their footballing decisions, how successful he will be. But what have you made of, because obviously this for United is almost like a change of hierarchy once the first 6 months is over. And what have you made of Manchester United's kind of recent footballing decisions, particularly on transfers? Because, you know, I'll remind you of some. They paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. They paid 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. They paid, I think, 40 million for Fred. They bought Pogba for 90 million after letting him go on a free transfer when he was a youth player. And even when you look at Sancho, I know a lot of United fans, and many United fans say, look, as much as he's a good player, we didn't really need another winger stroke attacking player. So what have you made of Man United's decisions, you know, footballing decisions, primarily about transfers?
Do you know what? They're spending money just to pave over the cracks to keep their fans happy, especially after they stormed the stadium. And that's how I see it. I mean, they brought Ronaldo back. What has he done this season? Yeah. You know what I mean? There was a tweet I tweeted just after the Watford game. Ronaldo, before the game, had tweeted, time to get a good, decent shift in and go win the game. Watford Football Club official Twitter came back and said, we had a good work shift or something to that effect. And it was all the highlights from the game, and they lost 4-1. Do you know what I mean? So it's for their so-called status to go and lose to Watford it's quite big. And I think when they came after us, after we got our yearly spanking from Liverpool, it didn't actually bother me. And I'm sitting there thinking, you look at Watford, and then you look at the quality what Liverpool have got. I mean, it's two different ends of the scale. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, do you know what? You can't say nothing to me. But we scored one back. I said, I don't care. You got beaten 4-1 by Watford.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? It's like, I think it depends how you kind of look at it from what perspective, because I think Man United fans are looking at it as they're bringing in an experienced manager or an experienced, you know, coach, manager, stroke, director of football, whatever he does. until obviously the end of the season. So they're clearly not going with Carrick. They obviously thought Ollie wasn't good enough. And they think, they're bringing in somebody experienced who will have a long-term future at the club. And then so they can get the right man. They don't want to rush the hire, so they can get the right man in the summer. But then obviously rival fans like ourselves, we kind of generally look at it as, well, whoever you're targeting to be manager clearly is not in a position or wanting to actually leave, the club that they're at. So what do you think is it? Do you think it's a case of it's a good decision? Try and put on a bit of a neutral hat here. Is it a good decision to not rush and get somebody in through the door quickly so they can kind of decide more in the summer? Or do you think it's just they can't attract one of the big name managers at this present time?
Do you know what? It's not a case of attracting anybody. There's no one out there. I mean, you can change the manager as much as you like, but ultimately it's on them players to get their act together and start performing on that pitch. It doesn't matter what manager you bring in. I mean, we've said this with Arsenal. I mean, if we get rid of Arteta, sorry, Arsenal hat's back on again. But there's no one
as
out
it
there.
should be.
Do you know what I mean? So I just sit here and think, do you know what? You can laugh at Arsenal, all this and all that. You can't even hold a decent manager. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no one else there. I mean, the next subject we're going to talk about, that person's had 3.5 weeks and he wants that. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true because you know what? From my perspective, I was having this conversation. I can't even remember now if it was on Twitter or if it was in person. I speak to so many fans. And when I say fans, I mean football fans. I'm not talking about fans. I don't have fans. I'm talking about like football fans. I speak to so many like guys and girls about football that I can never remember where I have the conversation. But I honestly believe that, don't get me wrong, Man United have wasted a lot of money in the transfer market. But having said that, they do have a core of, for me, world-class players or potentially world-class players. And I do think, if I was a manager out there and I was, thinking about my future or looking for the next step in terms of my managerial career, I think it is a potentially tempting proposition. When you look at the likes of, De Gea, Varane, Pogba, Fernandes, Ronaldo, Cavani, Rashford, Sancho, Greenwood, they've got a decent crop of players, So it's, we're not talking about Spurs here, or even a Newcastle where they've got, bags of money, but they're going to struggle to actually attract anybody. Do you think I'm kind of overhyping their squad, or do you think they have a quality squad or not?
I'm going to link this back to what Merson made me chuckle last week. When have you ever looked at that Man United midfield recently and say, yeah, that midfield could win something with the rest of that team? I'm sorry, but it's just straight facts. I know Merce does chat a load of rubbish half the time, but he had a fair point about them. For me, I'm looking at that team and the people who are regular stars. I mean, there's too many egos on that pitch. They've got the biggest ego up front. He just absolutely loves himself.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I mean, if you look at the Watford game as well, what really annoyed me is obviously Donny van de Beek. Yeah, he scored, and Ollie wouldn't even look at the geezer. And I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking, do you know what, mate? You need to get transferred down to North London. We'll have you straight in there. I'd have him in a heartbeat. I think he's a brilliant little player.
Yeah,
but I don't think.
Their squad is just so imbalanced. Like when you actually look at them, like in the forward positions, like they've got Ronaldo, Cavani, Rashford, Sancho, Greenwood.
Too many attacking players, as you said earlier.
Martial. They've got 6 strikers, like strict 6 forward players that can play. Obviously, and I get the whole squad depth, but the problem is that none of them are in form apart from Ronaldo. Like I called one of my mates this morning. He'll laugh if he's watching. I called one of my mates this morning. As soon as he picked up the phone, I went, "What's going on, Ronaldo FC?" That's the first thing I said. Because literally, like, I think had they not bought him this summer, God knows where they would be right now. Because the geezer, like, whatever you think about Ronaldo, this guy's a great player. Do you know what I mean? Whatever league he comes at, to think this geezer's a year younger than me, and he's still bossing it in the Premier League. That is madness.
Yeah, I know it's a madness, but that's why my opinion of him is now changed. He is the best player in the world when it comes to Ronaldo. As much as I hate him, I hate the man, but he is the best player. He's come back to the Premier League twice. Yes, you can say this, that, and about this and that about Messi, but he could have come to the Premier League and won it with City, and he didn't. Exactly. And he still would have tore it up. And he chose to go to France and take the easy route. So it's disappointing. As a general football fan, that is disappointing to see. But
that's true.
Ronaldo wins that debate now. I'm sorry, but he does.
Yeah, for me, I've always kind of like and ah between the two. And I prefer Messi as a player, but that's just a preference in terms of how he plays. But I think the one thing about Ronaldo that I can't fault him on is just his sheer, unwavering determination. And just like his hunger for the game. To be 36 and to stay in that great a shape and to still want to win things, you kind of just got to take your hat off. Like he kind of just, with Ronaldo, when I think about Ronaldo, he just even transcends Man United. I don't even see him as a United player. It's almost like him and Messi are just, they're just in that other league where like, it's just, they're phenomenal. They are. They really are.
I mean, do you know what? I still prefer to see him in a Real Madrid shirt. He just needs to go back to Spain. I want him to go back to Spain.
He won't be long. He won't be long. I think I've got my manager is a Sporting Lisbon Sporting fan, and that's where obviously Ronaldo started his career, and he's kind of set in that Ronaldo has even publicly said he will finish his career back in Portugal, in his hometown and playing for his hometown club. So I think that's probably maybe another season away. But I think at some point he will call it a day and go and play for Sporting. But so enough talk of Man United, as this is a Arsenal channel. But unfortunately, guys, we have to.
I'm going to correct you there. It's the Arsenal, not just Arsenal. It's the Arsenal. We need to start calling that back. That's why everyone hates us. We're classy. Our Arsenal.
But so we're gonna park Man United. We're gonna put that away. We're not gonna talk about them no more. Hopefully they lose to Chelsea this week. And come on, Chelsea. That's the only time you're ever gonna hear me say that. And we're gonna talk about Tottenham or Spurs or whatever you want to call them. That's who we're gonna talk about. And we're gonna talk about them briefly. And that's because last night. So I can't even say this without laughing. Last night, Tottenham lost to a club called Mura. Now, just to give you some context to this, right? Mura.
Who?
Now, Mura were founded in 2012. Founded in 2012. So we're talking a 9-year, history here. They are 5th in the Slovenian league. And last night when they beat Spurs 2-1 in the whatever it's called Europa Conference League, it was the first time in their short history that they've picked up any European points. Now, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's because I'm a gooner. I don't know if it's because I'm an Arsenal fan or I hate Spurs or I just find Spurs hilarious, but I don't think there is a more embarrassing European loss in the history of football that I've watched in my whole entire life. And I took great joy last night in DMing and messaging every single Spurs fan that I know. This team is so bad. When I Googled them, when I Googled the scoreline, they don't even have a picture on Google. That's how bad this team is. I know you probably didn't even watch the game, but what did you make of, obviously, the news breaking that Tottenham lost last night to Mura?
Put it this way. I have literally... Obviously, my stepdad's come home tonight. I didn't see him last night. Didn't say a word to me. Has not said a word to me. So I'm keeping my mouth shut until tomorrow's score. But I'm going after him on Saturday. It's going to be fun all weekend. But... I don't even know who these people are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I thought it was bad enough they lost to a bloody Sunday league side. Do you know what I mean? and like the previous matches they played. I can't remember who it was, but people saying like some of these people actually still work in bars and wherever they're from.
Yeah.
And it's an embarrassment as a English football fan and as well as a Premier League club.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did end up in there, I can tell you now we would not be ending up like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think that the worst. I think the best part of all this is Jamie O'Hara. His absolute reaction on Sky Sports was priceless.
Literally.
I mean, he's like, "Yeah, Spurs are back. We got Conte," and then it's just like, whew, and blown up in his face. I mean, I think I saw one of his tweets last night, and it was obviously all the Arsenal fans were laying into him, as they do when it goes wrong, because he loves to chat about us, so we have to pay him back in kind from TalkSport. But he said something to the effect, I could play better than this. I've won stuff with Spurs. And then I think it's Darren Bent came back to me. I mean, what are you talking about? You didn't win anything with Spurs.
Yeah,
which I was just killing myself after, and like all the Arsenal fans had jumped on that after that. But
it's brilliant.
He was going on about how Dele Alli and that midfield don't deserve to be wearing a Spurs shirt, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's a crime you've got any of those boys wearing a shirt, one of them shirts. I mean, look at who did they buy? That really lovely little striker from Fulham a few years back. They bought him, and I haven't seen him since. I'm so upset for him. He was such a talent to watch for Fulham.
Yeah. And
you just haven't seen him. You haven't seen him at all. They were like we were looking at him, and Spurs got in there first, I believe. And I can't remember. I think it might be Mariah Sessegnon. I think that was him.
Was he the one? Sure. I think he got sent off last night. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't watch the game, but he was such a joy to watch at Fulham. He was flying there, and then he's gone to Spurs. I haven't seen him since.
Yeah, his career's just.
Told me he's just dropped
his career's just taking a dive, taking a proper dive.
He's a kid. He shouldn't having to go do this.
No, definitely.
Sorry, G. I'm gonna have to throw this comment up. Oh, where are we? From Ben Bennett. I love it. I'll let you read it.
Mug of the week, month, year, decade goes to Jamie O'Hara. How he has a job in the media is beyond me. Believe you me, I literally can't stand the guy, but he is actually comedy gold because he comes out with all this rubbish. And obviously with social media, screenshots, recordings and that, it's just absolutely fantastic because we can just go back to it and just show him what an absolute tool he is at times. But I just want to address this comment really quickly. I can't actually read your name. I appreciate you watching and streaming. Unfortunately, we don't bring people from the chat into the live stream unless that's been pre-organized. So if you would like to appear potentially on one of our streams, if you drop myself, Lottie, or Stephen a DM, we can have an initial conversation and then potentially maybe bring you onto one show. But we're not ignoring you. It's just something that we don't do. These are shows that are planned by ourselves. So if we are having any guest on the show, we have to have a kind of an initial, conversation with them, etc. Because obviously we're responsible for this stream and the content that goes out. So apologies for we weren't ignoring your comments. It's just that if you are interested in coming on the show, drop us a DM and then we'll take it from there. Thank you. So obviously with regards the Conference League, now there were moments in last season and I for one at the end of the season I was annoyed that we didn't finish above Spurs, as any Arsenal fan was. And a part of me was a little bit gutted. I wouldn't say for too long, but a little bit gutted that we didn't actually, qualify for this competition. And I think it was just because of the whole kind of embarrassment of not being in Europe. But when you're looking at obviously the way Spurs' season is panning out, and obviously the difficult trips, the midweek games. On reflection, in hindsight, are you glad we didn't actually qualify?
Do you know what? As I said earlier, I mean, they're an embarrassment as a Premier League club to be performing the way they are. End of story. They're an actual embarrassment. The fact, originally when they first got it, I thought, they're going to be in for a trophy here because these teams you never heard of. I mean, you saw some of the pictures of the grounds. There's a train that goes through a ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you sit there and think, like they're top 7 at least. Well, after the top 6, we're looking down the board, not up. And it's just like, they could probably win something there. But the way they've been performing is absolutely embarrassing.
It's crazy.
I look at all the little kids and their parents, and I'm like, how can you do that to a child?
Literally.
I mean, I think I saw a tweet today actually. An actual Spurs fan turned around. Can you believe it? 9 years today, I went to my first Spurs match. 9 years later, I've got to watch this. What a see you next Tuesday.
Crazy.
To his own dad. It's nuts.
Crazy.
I mean,
mad.
Like, he probably won't change teams, but it was just like, whoa, you'd never catch me saying that. I know I've been previously, one of my old tweets, when I was under my old Twitter name, I got caught by the Mirror, and I was so upset with Arsenal. I think it was a Palace lost. Like, I did an angry Alexis Sanchez meme or something, and I said, the stress that this club puts me through, I'm starting to question why I'm an Arsenal fan. And I immediately deleted that as soon as I saw that the bloody Mirror had picked it up. I thought, no, you're not catching me out on this, right? So I literally deleted that Twitter account and changed everything.
I don't blame you.
I was angry at the time. You just tweet stuff when you're angry. And I've learned not to do that anymore, although I do still do it now and again when I do lose my myself. But it was just so embarrassing. I never want to do that again. You can't question my love for this club. I mean, but Tottenham are an embarrassment. We all know that. We don't need to keep singing about it at the home games either.
No, we don't.
Whoever we play, save them for Spurs. They're not singing about us. They don't even sing. Stop it.
No, but, for real.
I had to add that in. I was listening to actually Ben Bennett in the chat. He was on a Guns and Yellow Ribbons, and it was really good. I'll send you the link later, G. But
cool.
It's one of them things. I know Tottenham get battered is very, how do I put it? It's very catchy and very easy, especially
it's just easy to sing. Do you know what I mean? It's an easy default to go to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when I'm sitting there and I'm not watching Arsenal Spurs, it's not what I want to be listening to. Tomorrow I want to hear the songs about Newcastle and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? I won't. Do you know what? I don't even join in with the Spurs songs anymore when they go around the stadium. I just can't do it. I'm watching the Newcastle game, not Spurs.
No, definitely. But so the last thing we'll kind of mention with regards, obviously, Tottenham is obviously last night was a massively embarrassing defeat for those guys. But I think I'm not sure what was worse. I'm not sure if it was the fact that they lost to this team, Mura, or the fact that of what Conte had to say after the game. So I don't know if all of you are aware of basically, what was said, etc. I didn't see any kind of post-match, interview or anything like that. But Sky Sports literally went in on his quotes. They literally there was 3 pages of it, and basically the gist of it was that he basically has come to the conclusion that after 3 weeks of being a manager at Spurs, that there's a clear gulf. He basically said that the level of the quality of Tottenham right now is not very high. There's a clear gulf between them and the top teams in the division. He said something along the lines of him not being a magician. And he also kind of spoke about the squad not being good enough. He spoke about, you can have all the effort in the world, but ultimately, you can only push a car so far, which kind of insinuated that he was saying that the squad wasn't good enough, maybe hinted at potential transfers in January. He also, very interestingly enough, said, I am happy to stay here, but, and then kind of went on to explain what basically needed to be done in order for him to be happy to stay. Now, personally, I'm not a Spurs fan, but I found these comments absolutely hilarious because I just thought, here's a man that's 3 weeks into a job, 2 games into a new job, and they've not really had a new manager bounce back. And I said this to one of my mates. I also said it to my cousin who was on one of our shows a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, if your manager bounce back was a 2-1 win against 17th place Leeds, who are basically literally
had 2 wins all season,
depleted with injuries, then he's not really had any impact. Now, I know it's been 3 weeks. I know it's only 2 games, but that initial manager bounce back that a lot of clubs do get, it hasn't really happened. Now, what did you make of some of those quotes in terms of what he said?
Do you know what? As you were talking, I was sitting there thinking of the I was sitting there thinking, no, 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 Conte said no. I was just sitting there thinking about it, and it was just, it's going to happen. I can see it happening, especially coming from our fans at some point.
I like that. I like that.
No, that would be very good. Ben, we need to get that going, especially for West Ham coming up. Sorry, G, what was the question?
Yeah, no, it was just like, what did you? It's fine. What did you make of obviously the comments? Because like Chris has kind of put it here. He said, he sounded like he was looking for a way out already. And that's how I felt. I felt like his comments were quite defeatist in that he basically said, look, I've been here 3 weeks and this team's not good enough. And basically, if you don't spend a lot of money, then I'll stay, but you need to spend money. And if you don't, I'm off. That was the gist that I got. And I'm guessing that was the gist that Chris got. But if you were, obviously, if these were the words of an Arsenal manager, for example, how would you be feeling right now?
As a fan, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have a long conversation with my personal trainer today. He's a Spurs fan. He's one of the good ones, but it's so easy to wind up. I know he does tune into us actually now and again. So hi, Aaron, if you're watching. No, but we had a conversation about this, and he's just so embarrassed. He's one of those fans who wants to be out of the Conference League. You don't care how badly they perform, how much Arsenal fans or anyone rips them for it. He just wants out, and he wants to be back playing domestic football, which I can understand, because this Conference League for me is just absolute nonsense. Yes, you secure your place in the Europa. To be honest with you, I did think that's the route Tottenham would go, but they're clearly not interested, and it's just a mess. And with Conte being there, and it's been 3 weeks, he's banned fast food, fizzy drinks, and all that kind of stuff.
I heard he's banned butter.
and that as well. And he's even been looking for someone in the Tottenham High Street in the McDonald's.
Wow.
There's been fans taking pictures with him in McDonald's.
He don't play games. Like he doesn't play games. He's infamous for rocking the boat. And I personally feel that I'm not sure how well those comments are going to go down with Levy. I'm really, really not sure. I can honestly see that them two are either going to get on like a house on fire, or the house is going to burn down very quickly.
The thing is with Conte, he does his thing, he does his stuff his way or no way. You don't take the high road with Conte. You do it how he tells you to do it. I mean, we know why he left his last club. They wanted to sell. They were running out of money. They wanted to sell the big players. He didn't want to do that. He wanted more big players to come in, and that's why he left his job ultimately.
And the same similar situation happened at Chelsea. He fell out with Abramovich. He fell out with the hierarchy at Chelsea, which is why he left.
Exactly. He does it his way, or you don't bother. It's simple as that. I think that's one of the reasons I admire him as well, because he sticks to his guns and he does what he knows best. And for sometimes you need a manager like that for certain teams. But I really do hope United do secure another manager permanently before he leaves. That's my main concern.
You know what I actually liked? What I actually liked about his comments was that he basically, somewhere in there, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically admitted that it doesn't matter how good you are a coach, if you don't have the right ingredients in terms of players, it's very, your achievements will be limited. So you can, you can coach a player, all day, every day, but ultimately, if that player is unable to kind of, carry out those actions or do the job you want him to do, or to the level you want him to do, then it doesn't really matter. That's basically what he was saying. And in a way, I kind of respected that, because it was almost like, it kind of made me think about, and I'm going back to Arsenal now, it kind of made me think a lot about Arsenal. And obviously, I've been really critical of Arteta last season, beginning of this season. And obviously, we know there's bigger issues at the club, you know, in terms of the hierarchy, the Kroenkes, etc. And although I do feel that, you know, the Arsenal squad is better than maybe 8th place in the league, at the same time, you know, coaches they're not miracle workers. They're not magicians. And they can only work with what they've got at their disposal. So a lot of the stuff I found funny what he said about Spurs, because I think it was just brilliant. I think it was classic content.
You know what it is?
But some of it was actually really kind of telling. And I thought it was quite good that, you know, he is classed as a world-class manager. But I thought it was quite admirable that, you know, he said, look, you know, we all know he's a world-class coach, but ultimately, if he doesn't have the tools at his disposal that he needs to win games, he's not going to win games. So I thought that was quite interesting and quite admirable of him.
No, do you know what? He's brutally honest, and you can hold him for his character always.
Yeah.
You won't get all this wishy-washy stuff like you did with not Jose Mourinho, Maureen.
Yeah,
He's called Maureen. And
yeah.
I found that towards the end of sorry, guys. I found that like towards the end, he became very, very wishy-washy. And he wasn't the ruthless cutthroat that he was when he was at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And like he never held back on comments about us. But I found that, and I used to sit there and think, you really didn't have anything to say about us for a change?
Yeah,
what's going on?
I hear you.
You know something's lost when a manager loses that ruthlessness that they used to have and they're known for. But with Conte, I don't think he'll ever lose it. I mean, he's probably looking for his contract, looking for a get out clause. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, probably.
He probably is. And he's going to cash in like the last manager as well, like Nuno and the manager before that. And was it Poch before Nuno? No.
Yeah, I think it was. No. Nuno, Mourinho, then Poch.
Yeah, Mourinho's cashed in. Nuno's cashed in. It's time for Conte to take some more money off them. And then they're going to have to sell. They're going to have to sell him, aren't they?
That's
going to
it.
have to sell the man that is clearly not happy there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had one league goal all season.
Yeah, it's not going well.
For his standards and the way he's playing for England,
we need to sort out.
No, the way that he's playing for England, he's happy. You can see he's happy. At Spurs, he's not. Should have let him go in the summer. I don't see the point of keeping someone that doesn't want to be there.
100%.
That's why I'm kind of relieved we got rid of Alexis Sanchez, because we would have got the same thing. Absolutely same thing. If someone wants to leave your club, let them go. Oh, he's here. Hello.
No problem. I was literally about to introduce you because I was going to bring you in because actually I want to get your thoughts on some of these talking points before we move on. So welcome, Stephen. I'm glad you made it to the show. How you feeling, bro?
I'm all right. I'm cold. Cold and stressed. The guys didn't say my boiler blew up this afternoon, and it's been a bit of a stress. We now have no heating, no water. So a bit like Jesus, I've turned my no water into wine. Keep yourself warm that way.
This is not the weather as well for that to happen. So hopefully you get it sorted out really quickly. But
I wanted under storm conditions here, so not fun.
Yeah, not good. But I wanted to just kind of, because obviously we were kind of at the point where we're going to move over to like talking Arsenal Newcastle. But I want to kind of go back a little bit. So apologies if you guys have kind of listened to the whole Ralph Rangnick kind of situation, and obviously listened to what our thoughts are of Tottenham losing to Murat and Conte's comments. But just quickly, with regards, obviously, Manchester United not sticking with Carrick between now and the end of the season, bringing in Ralph Rangnick till the end of the season. What are your kind of initial thoughts about that appointment?
I think it's a good move in the sense of not sticking with Carrick. They've seen that before, and if it went well for him, if he did okay, got them, second, third place, got them near a cup final and stuff, you may suddenly see a clamour in the fans going, "Oh, give him a contract." Ferdinand slapping the contract down the table and stuff. So from United's point of view, I think it's a good move, not giving Carrick the job. In terms of Rangnick, do you know what? I said this to you before. He's a director of football, and he's a very good director of football. And from all accounts, it's a 6 month or end of the season temporary thing for manager. and then after that, it's going to be a 2-year consultancy.
Yeah.
So the only concern with that is that he's good at spotting talent, and if we have our eye on any potential youngsters, we need to act quickly. If there's potential youngsters we want to bring in that we think are going to be world-class talents, because if they are good enough, he will have already spotted them. And he will be looking at getting them to United. So that's a concern. In terms of his coaching and stuff, I'm not really. He's had decent enough success, but it's not like he's won loads of major tournaments and leagues and stuff. He had 2 good spells with RB Leipzig, but they were only short spells, and he didn't win anything with them. So, it's not long enough to turn things around at United to make them title winners.
It's a stopgap.
He might get a run a cup, but am I overly concerned? No, not really. The only niggling concern is new manager bounce, and his first game is going to be against us. That would be the only thing.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that they'll win. So we'll talk about that next week. So all in all, I'm not overly concerned about it. It's not a big deal. Sorry, my hair's a mess because I had a hat on there.
Interesting you say new manager bounce, because that kind of takes me nicely onto the next thing that we spoke about, obviously in your absence, which was the whole embarrassing defeat for Spurs last night against Mura, and obviously Conte's comment. So before I kind of get onto the question, everybody talks about this new manager bounce back that clubs have. It often happens, but with Spurs, it's not really happened. I'm not sure if you can count, beating 17th place Leeds as a, scrape a 2-1 victory as a new manager bounce back. But in terms of, obviously, Conte's only been there, to put it into context, he's only been there 3 weeks. It's only 2 games realistically. But what did you first of all make of, obviously, the defeat last night? And secondly, more probably importantly, what did you make of the comments that he made after the game?
The defeat last night was embarrassing for them, really. I mean, let's be honest. We have a long tradition and a long history of, in the Champions League group stages, putting out kids and qualifying from groups.
100%. Yeah.
This is a tournament that people laughed off, and even towards the end of last season, when we were talking, it's our only hope of Europe, people were going, "We don't want it because it's such a bad competition, and the teams are so weak." And quite frankly, if you weren't getting down to the semi-finals in that tournament, there was something seriously wrong. I mean, there isn't. I was looking at it with regards, maybe Roma are probably the biggest club in it.
Yeah. And Roma are not the Roma of old, you know what I mean?
No, they're getting better. Mourinho's having a good turn with them, but they're not the Roma of old. So I mean, if I was Spurs, if I was Daniel Levy at the start of the season, I'd have been expecting us to get to the final.
100%.
Final would have been a minimum you would have been expecting on that. And for Spurs, that could have been their chance to actually,
win something.
Oil the hinges in the trophy cabinet and see if they can get the doors open to put something in there. So I had to laugh at Jamie O'Hara, and obviously
Lottie was saying that earlier.
Sports, we're gonna, I see 4 or 5 in this. We'll win 4 or 5-0 or whatever, and then afterwards, giving it all, it's a disgrace. They're not fit to wear the shirt. They are fit to wear the shirt because there's no class, there's no history. Why they even try to compete?
They're well matched. They're well matched.
Yeah, I just do not understand where Spurs get this idea that they're a big club.
I have no idea.
This, glory Tottenham Hotspur, and what glory? You've never had any glory.
Set of fans in the world, honestly.
I just don't get it. I don't even get how they have the gall to try and compete with Arsenal and say, we're a bigger. You're not. You're not a bigger team than Arsenal.
Not even close, mate. Not even close.
You're not even they're not even the 5th biggest side in London. They're a tiny club. They're an embarrassment. They honestly, and nothing made me happier than seeing that result last night. Absolutely embarrassing.
Guys, you know how they complain we're all from Woolwich, right? South of the river. They're not even from North London themselves. They're from Middlesex. when they moved into Tottenham, do you know what I mean? It's just, I think they were around about maybe 50 years before they were made a part of North London. So it doesn't make sense.
There's only one thing good about Tottenham Hotspur. And I could joke and say it's the exits and stuff like that, but no, I have to give them their credit. Daniel Levy.
Yeah, he's an astute businessman. Yeah. He is.
But the rest of the club's just an absolute laughing stock. They are a joke. Yeah. And the sooner they stop trying to make themselves out to be some big top 6 successful club, you've never had success. Yeah. Jamie O'Hara and Tottenham are back. Back from what?
Back from where?
Back from where? Back to what? You've never been anything.
Oh, mate.
So, yeah.
Oh, God. And really quickly, like, obviously, Conte, as we know, Conte is Conte. He's outspoken. He says it how it is. You know, his quotes after the game, I think, could potentially rock the boat. I don't know. But what did you make of, like, some of the stuff he said?
I thought it was funny that it took him 3.5 weeks to work out the crap. I mean, could have gone in and done that in a day.
In a day, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I said to you last night, I don't think he'll be there at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think he'll be gone before the end of the season. He likes to spend money.
Yeah.
They don't have money. They're that much in debt.
Yeah.
The stadium's costing. They don't have the money to spend. They couldn't sell Harry Kane in the summer. And they're not going to sell Harry Kane now for 160 million. There's no way. So he's not going to have the money he wants to spend. He's probably been promised some sort of budget. But he's not going to be able to bring in. I mean, he didn't mention names last night. Excuse me. The players.
Bless you.
Yeah, the players they have, they're not the standard. They're the standard for Spurs, but they're not the standard to win anything. And he's a winner. He's used to winning. So I think he'll be gone before the end of the season.
No worries. Thank you so much, Stephen, and good to have you, man. But we're gonna. Before
we move on, I'm just gonna pull this comment out by Matt. They weren't even classified as a North London club until after they won their first league trophy, and by that time we had moved to Highbury.
There you go.
So we was here first. Let's just get that straight.
That's it. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna breeze through some of these comments, obviously, before we move on to the actual reason why we're here, which is previewing the Arsenal Newcastle game. So my mouse is moving very, very slow. I don't know why. Bear with me. All right. Why is this not working? Right, here we go. So they chose the wrong team for the All or Nothing documentary. Thank you for that one, Matt. Chris and I, good evening. Could he be saying to Levy, you need to spend money or I'm out of here in the summer? I definitely think there was, some kind of, message behind that. Tom here says they are £800 million in debt. I don't think they have any money to spend. They definitely are in debt, mainly because of the stadium. Chris again, Mourinho found that out. No matter what he tried, he couldn't get them winning. David, good evening, David. Hi, may not be able to stay long tonight. Hope you're both well. Well, yep, we're all well, apart from obviously Stephen and his boiler, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that gets sorted soon. Matt again, stat packing with England. David, have I missed you laughing at Spurs? So we did laugh at Spurs originally. Stephen joined us late, so we laughed at them some more, as we do. Chris, I didn't know Gas and Electric had made it to Northern Ireland yet. Oh, that's a naughty. You know what? I should have read that one. You know what? I should have read that one. I apologize, Stephen. I should have read that before I brought on the screen.
It's all right. I just have lots of little leprechauns up around the edge of the room with candles. I just can we go back one sec there to David's comment?
David, was it this one?
Yeah. So have I missed you laughing at Spurs there? I just want to say on this, there are a lot of fans out there that go, "Oh, we shouldn't be laughing at anybody." You know, look at how we finished the last couple of seasons. And Spurs have finished above us for the last few seasons. At least they're in Europe this year.
Yeah.
It's always okay to laugh at Spurs.
100%.
It's always okay. It doesn't
100%.
matter. Laugh at them. People need to get over this thing of, oh, you shouldn't laugh at other teams. Of course you should. There's always time to laugh at other teams.
Yeah, definitely.
I
100% agree.
It's what makes it fun.
Yeah, 100% agree. Good evening, Keith. I'm very worried about my Spurs mates, so I'm checking on them frequently, mostly via WhatsApp. You okay, hon? Is my most typed question currently. Literally, I had, and obviously Keith said evening, Stephen. I had literally a field day last night. Like literally from when that match stopped or finished, I was on my phone all evening, just literally DMing, WhatsApping every single Spurs fan that I know, because I got it when we got beat by Liverpool. I got it, and I don't know why, because obviously Liverpool are Liverpool, but they gave it to me. I thought, listen, you've just lost to the lowest ranked team in European competition this season, so you're going to get it back. Chris again, 3 games as he also was in charge for the Vitesse. Oh, okay, yeah, he was actually. Yeah. And they narrowly won that game as well, 2-1. So yeah, thank you for that, Chris. Matt again, they also steal songs from other clubs and claim they made them big. Yeah, they're just a dodgy club, to be honest. Matt again, they weren't even. We saw that one classified as North London until after they won their last league trophy. Keith, if Spurs go another 7 years without winning the title, which they will, that's retirement age 67 actually. That is crazy. If they don't spend in January, I think he'll be gone in the first weeks of February. Yeah, Stephen said to me last night after the quotes that he won't be done. He won't be there by the end of the season. And to be honest, I agree with him. Ben should always laugh at Spurs, but restrict the singing about them week in, week out. It's an obsession with some fans, and it takes over the passion of support for Arsenal. Completely agree. So yeah,
the Arsenal.
Yeah. So obviously, we've covered some of the, the Ralph Rangnick, it's not been officially confirmed, but pretty much a done deal. And we've spoken about Spurs' embarrassing defeat last night, and obviously some interesting Conte comments. And now we're going to actually, do what we're here to do, which is to obviously preview the Arsenal versus Newcastle game. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll see you on the other side. So yes, evening to everybody. If you're joining us late, those of you who've been joining us or joined us from the beginning, good evening to you. Thank you for your continued support. So yeah, so we're here obviously for the preview show of Arsenal versus Newcastle. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the game itself, obviously the importance of the game, go through some stats, talk lineup, score predictions, etc. But first of all, just one talking point that I kind of want to rack Stephen and Lottie's head about, and also be interesting to see what you guys think in the chat. So keep the comments coming, and I'll try and cover as many of them as possible. And that is the transfer of this gentleman here. So Joe Willock left us for Newcastle for, I believe it was a fee of around 25 million. Now, there was a split opinion with regards to this transfer, given the fact that obviously he'd been on loan at Newcastle last season. He was in a rich vein of form, broke, I think, like Newcastle Premier League record in terms of scoring consecutive goals in a certain amount of games. And the fan base was pretty split in terms of should he get an opportunity at Arsenal this season? Should we cash in? And obviously the club made the decision for us, sold him to Newcastle for what I think was a very good fee. Some would disagree, but obviously he's gone to Newcastle. Newcastle have not had the best start. They sit rock bottom of the Premier League, but obviously most recently they've had the takeover. There was a lot of hype about it. Recently got Eddie Howe in. We've not really seen much of a rise in fortune in terms of their results. But obviously they've got bags of money, and the January transfer window will be an interesting one. But speaking about Willock, obviously, it will be his return to Arsenal tomorrow when we play them at the Emirates. I'll come to you first, Lottie, on this one. Was it a good deal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we absolutely cashed in. We did another job over on the smaller club, just like we did with Iwobi and Everton. We cashed in, and we know he has these moments where he does bang in the goals, but then he completely drops off the map. And I think we had the conversation with Stephen on our WhatsApp at some point. I think he'd just scored in one game last season, and then he was back down the other end of the pitch, and he was meant to be defending. He just stood there like an absolute lemon or something to that effect. But yeah, no, we cashed in. It was good get rid of. Although a lot of our fans weren't happy. I wasn't fussed if he stayed or he went. My English has gone out the window. I do apologise, guys.
No worries.
But yeah, no, he's gone. That's the end of it. I mean, he has his moments, but he's not consistent at all. Never has been.
It's one of those where it's like right now, I think I still think it's early days. Personally, my personal opinion is I think right now it looks a good deal, but I do think it's potentially early days to say it's been a disaster or a complete waste of money. But I think at the moment you are getting Iwobi vibes in terms of obviously the fee they paid and what return they've had so far. Are you getting Iwobi vibes, Stephen, or do you think it's kind of like too early to kind of write him off in terms of his career at Newcastle?
No, I always said that Arsenal's a level too high for him. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But, as Lottie said, there's no consistency with him. And yeah, I mean, I think it was Man City they were playing, and he scored. And as Lottie said, he was straight away, he's back down the other end of the pitch. He's standing in the box. The ball comes in, and I think he was uploading a picture to Instagram or something of his goal celebration because he wasn't paying attention to where the ball was.
Yeah.
But he's always been like that. Too inconsistent. And he'll have flashes of brilliance and score some wonder goals. But he's not going to do it week in, week out. And does he get into that Arsenal team at the minute? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, not even close.
No. I mean, so he wants to play as a number 10, that sort of role. And we're not playing that system. But if we are playing that system, does he get into the team ahead of Smith Rowe or Odegaard? No, he wouldn't. In my opinion, he needed to play regular football, which is why he went. And I think Newcastle's a good fit for him. But I think it shows a lot, the fact that I think he's played 10 games this season, no goals.
Yeah.
The loan did what it was supposed to. It gave him an opportunity to prove himself. And in this case, it proved him good enough to play at a club like Newcastle, but not quite ready to play, at the top level for the likes of Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, I think I personally feel as though, given his age, I think it is a bit early. I think it'll be interesting to see. The only concern I have with regards to his Newcastle career is I'm not sure how much of it he's going to have, given their windfall of money that they've got, obviously now due to the takeover. But it will be interesting to see, like, if he can, if he can put together some form between now and the end of the season. But in terms of being a good deal, I always thought 25 million for him was something we should never have turned down, and I'm glad we didn't. So I think we draw a line under that one. Hopefully he doesn't find form tomorrow. That's for sure. Don't want that happening. But yeah, so obviously moving on to the game itself. It's one of those ones where it's like it feels as though it's one of those games where Newcastle are bottom of the league. If you park the 4-0 defeat to Liverpool, up until that point, we were on a 10-game unbeaten run. I've been very critical of the team and Arteta this season, but the last couple of wins, particularly against Leicester and Villa, there were some really, really good performances in there. And obviously, the spanner in the works has been obviously, getting absolutely slapped by Liverpool 4-0. But to be honest, most teams do in a season. So, thinking about obviously this game, I'll just throw some stats at you. So it seems to be a game that we enjoy as Arsenal fans. So we've won 16 of the last 17 Premier League games against Newcastle. And there was an exception where we lost 2-1 away in April of 2018. On the other hand, Newcastle have lost each of their last 9 away league games against us, failing to score in each of the last 5. Newcastle manager Eddie Howe, I'm not sure if he'll be in the dugout, but if he is,
he will be.
He is.
Be.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay. Yeah, so he's only taken 5 points from a possible 30 available in the Premier League meetings against us, which included a 1 win, 2 draws, and 7 losses. And generally, kind of head to head, there's been 187 games. They're sitting at 67 wins. We're sitting at 82, and there's been 38 draws. So, overwhelmingly, it's a fixture that we do enjoy. If you look at the form guide, our form guide is a lot better than theirs. Other than the Liverpool loss, we've got 4 wins and a draw. And obviously, they've not won a game in their last 6 league games. So, just kind of
initially... knowledgeable tonight.
What's that?
You're very knowledgeable tonight.
I can thank you for that. You sent me, can't you see I'm looking at that screen? No, I got to big up Stephen. He sent me the link to arsenal.com where all the stats are. So yeah, I'm not that knowledgeable. I'm not going to take credit for it. But yeah, just to get your initial thoughts, obviously, Stephen, with regards to this game. Like, how are you feeling? Obviously, off the back of that defeat to Liverpool, but given our form and obviously the context of where Newcastle in the table, how are you feeling about this game?
Newcastle's one of them games I always go into confident. No matter how bad we were playing, I would still go into a game against Newcastle confident. We just seem to have that thing over them. It's a bit like back in the day when we used to play Bolton. Yeah, I always went into games against Bolton thinking we're going to lose. Excuse me. So yeah, I always feel confident going against Newcastle, and I mean they've got 6 points so far this season.
Winless, I believe. I don't think they've won a game.
6 draws, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, confident, very confident.
And Lottie, obviously, given this match, so Stephen's feeling confident. I can't lie, I'm feeling confident too. But in terms of the game, I'll give you some context in terms of what I'm going to ask you. So at the moment, we're sitting 5th. We're 3 points ahead of United. We're 3 points adrift of West Ham, who are in 4th. And obviously, United play Chelsea this weekend. West Ham have got City. So there's a high chance that those 2 teams are going to drop points. Does this make this game even more important?
No, it does. It does. I mean, the fixtures that West Ham and United have both got, there are basically especially West Ham is a carrot dangling to level points with them. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously after and then in a couple of weeks, mid-December, we've got them at home on a Wednesday night. So it's definitely a carrot. It's up to the boys to come and get it. And I think another thing we need to remember is since Chelsea, no one's beat us at home. It's our ground. No one has beat us at home since Chelsea, and that was the beginning of the season. Albeit they did it twice, including pre-season. But yeah, no one's beat us at home. I'm fairly confident. I mean, I don't know if either of you've noticed recently, but especially with the away fans, the connection with the players and the fans is getting stronger. I mean, from sitting in the lowest tiers in the right stands, especially when you see Aaron Ramsdale come over, or even Lacazette, for example, they will rev up the crowd and the noise will get there. They absolutely thrive off it, and I think that's really important. It's something I haven't seen in a very long time, and I'm loving every single moment of it. And when I sit in a quiet block, and all I hear is the Spurs songs, that's why I complain, because I can see the potential it has. But it's just people don't want to learn stuff, and it's just really difficult. But there's so many more like-minded fans out there but we're all scattered all over the ground. If we were all in one end, that would solve everything. It really would. But I'm definitely confident going into tomorrow. I'm sitting above the Newcastle fans, so that's going to be fun. Unfortunately, I'm 16 rows back, so I won't be knocking any drinks over today.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a bit of a chilly one. But I think.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely freezing because
there's a threat of snow. There's a threat of snow tomorrow. There's tube strikes tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
It's going to be a madness. I'm getting down there very early. I'm going down there for breakfast with a couple of the boys and girls.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good one. It really is.
Yeah. You know what?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Really
For me, it's like I'll bring up this comment just before, obviously, because we are talking about the game. So Chris has said here, he's a player who will probably end up being released for free at the end of his contract, as Newcastle will spend big and they'll get lost in the pack. And that's something I said. I do worry about, his career.
Yeah, I do. I do have to question that. I mean, it's Newcastle. Who are they going to attract with Eddie Howe at the wheel?
Yeah.
I know they had those like the big history, but talking about recent history, there isn't any. And I think for the first couple of years, they're going to struggle with that unless they bring in some silverware. And at this point, they're going to get relegated.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think tomorrow's game. I'm very confident about tomorrow's game, but I honestly believe tomorrow's game is massive. And the reason why I think that is because when I look at the race for top, I wouldn't even say top four. When I look at the race for fourth place, because I honestly believe the top three are done and dusted. I don't know what order they're going to finish in, but for me, Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are going to be the top three in some way, shape, or form. So when I look at the race for top four, for me, I think it's a huge game because, like I said, 3 points behind West Ham, 3 points ahead of United. We could literally, they're likely to drop points, and we could literally go into the United game, potentially, 6 points ahead of them, with a United team that is not in the best of form. All of a sudden, we could potentially be 9 points clear of them. And that's huge because I really, really fancied them as potential title challengers. And that was because where they finished last season, second place, given the fact that they bought Sancho and Ronaldo, I thought those two signings would potentially, just get them that bit closer. But for whatever reason, it hasn't happened. So I'm really, really excited about tomorrow's game. At the same time, I've seen so many times that when it's almost like all the stars align and all you want is an Arsenal win and you just don't get it. I've seen it happen so many times. So before we kind of move on to lineups and predictions and stuff like that, I'll come to you first on this one, Lottie. What do you think the mood is going to be amongst the fans if, dare I say it, we don't get 3 points tomorrow?
I already know what's going to happen, but do you know what? It depends on which fans are there or if the tourists are there. That's the problem. But I think we're in for a good game. I mean, Ramsdale I know he's letting one or two at home, but he hasn't let that many in. And even if he lets one in, he doesn't give up like Leno does. And if he starts tomorrow, I'll be more comfortable with the usual back five. I don't care what's in front. It's the back five that concern me at the minute because we need that relationship to grow and grow and grow, especially if we're going to finish in the top spots for Europe. And we need to take that partnership needs to be strong for Europe next season if we get it. And that's the most important thing for me at the moment. But in terms of the fans, it's going to be noisy, especially down the clock end. It's going to be noisy, going to be loud all the way through the game. Hopefully I won't lose my voice, but I'm upstairs, so I don't know what that's going to be like. I wish I was downstairs, but I'm upstairs in the heavens.
No problem. So in terms, lastly, Stephen, before we move on, obviously I'm not suggesting this is a must-win game for Arteta because I don't believe it is in terms of his Arsenal career. But in terms of the season, would you say it's a must-win game?
Not really, no. If you look at the other games around us, all the teams around us are all dropping points. Yeah. Nobody, with the exception of Chelsea, possibly City, nobody is really consistently playing well. So there's always opportunities. So I wouldn't say it's a must-win. It's an important game. Yeah. Especially with United going to Chelsea. this weekend. It's an opportunity to be 6 points ahead of them before we even play them next Thursday. So that that's an important one. But no, it's not a must win. But I would say, in terms of keeping the fans on side, I think anybody who has been leaning towards Arteta out, but has started to come back around, would very quickly get back to the Arteta outside. If we don't beat Newcastle, I mean, I'll be honest. If we don't beat Newcastle, I'll be seriously questioning things myself.
I'll be gutted.
I had a lot to say after the Liverpool game, and unfortunately, I was sick on Monday and couldn't talk. So I was disappointed with that performance. And I said before the match, it was about the performance for me. It wasn't even about the result. It was about the performance. I need to see the level of performance improve tomorrow. And I think if it does, there's no reason why we don't walk over Newcastle. Realistically,
definitely. I agree.
If the team doesn't turn up and we don't have the performance, then that's a problem. Yeah, definitely. And if Arteta can't raise them to play the worst team in the league, then you have to question his ability to raise them up to be title contenders.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, like I said, we're going to be moving on quickly, but I just thought, obviously, we mentioned Arteta a couple of times there, so I thought, this is quite a relevant question. So thank you, Matt, for this. So quick question. Do you see a style of play with Arteta? To be honest, all I see when I do watch the TV games, it is just bland. So, as you know, I've been really critical of him. I've somewhat been swayed more towards, I can see the potential with the defense and, better results, etc. But I'll open this question up to the both of you. Whoever wants to go first, just jump in.
Do you know what? I am gonna say this. Matt's been spoiled by the Arsenal ladies. I've had Matt on my show twice, and he really does know his stuff about the Arsenal ladies. And watching them, it's a little bit more entertaining. I've got to admit. So I can get where Matt's coming from with this. I mean, do you know what? He's building something, and you can start to see glimpses of it, but it's not consistent. What it is, I'm not. How do I put it? I'm not into the analytics as some people are, but you can definitely see something happen, but I can't say what it is. But yeah, no, me and Matt watch a lot of the Arsenal ladies, and that's why he finds it bland, I think. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong.
Stephen?
Yeah, I can see a style of play. The problem is we have, I would say, 4 or 5 plays in the playbook. And I know this is football. It's not American football. But if you look at American football, it's very much built up of a playbook and certain formations they'll line up in to start a certain play. And it's getting to the point where you can almost tell what way we're about to try and attack.
Okay.
By how the ball leaves Ramsdale. You can see the way the players are positioned, and you know what's going to happen, and it's quite predictable. Now, sometimes it will work, and if the opposition aren't clued into it, which at times they haven't been, because to be fair, Arteta has mixed these plays up, and changed the system, and it's worked. But then he'll stick to the same plays. He's not developing new plays within an old system, if that makes sense. He's gone to 4-4-2 now. And we're playing the same plays every week. But if he was playing different plays within the 4-4-2, it would still create problems. The problem is that other teams learn these plays very quickly, and they can defend against them. So that's when then he has to start thinking about changing the formation again. Just vary the play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can see a style. We're obviously trying to get them to pull the players in so there's more space in behind. But it's not exciting. It's not exciting football. But then George Graham wasn't exciting football. It used to be 1-0 to the Arsenal. That's what
you look at some of the people would say great managers. You look at the Mourinho at Chelsea or even at Porto. He won Champions Leagues. Premier Leagues, his football was not exciting whatsoever.
No, it was part of the bus.
Yeah, literally, and he built what people would consider Chelsea's greatest side in their history. So, it's just kind of perspective and opinion, really. Like what I know we've spoken about this before about growing up under the Arsene Wenger years, the early Arsene Wenger years, where we've all been kind of spoiled with obviously a certain philosophy and style of football, and so we kind of we're looking at Arteta through the lenses of Wenger's heyday, and in a way it's kind of unfair, because obviously he's his own man. This is a different crop of players, so. But yeah, it is an interesting question, because I see this question floating around quite a lot. So thank you for that, Matt. We've got some comments with regards to this question. So according to Ben, we've got no plan B. And I know that is something that, a lot of Arsenal fans do feel. I definitely do feel like that. I feel as though, like you were saying, Stephen, when our different kind of styles of play don't work, there just doesn't seem to be an alternative. There doesn't seem to be, we don't have a big man where we can throw him up front and kind of just lob the ball into the box. Or, it's just, there is definitely something missing. Keith here, at Matt Roberts. I've seen an improvement in the counter-attack, albeit sporadic. His plan has been to strengthen from the back first, though. Definitely you can see that. Keeping clean sheets have massively improved. And lastly, Chris, our style of play is quick passing out from the back, certainly on the counter. Thank you so much, guys, for the question and obviously your contributions in the chat. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the lineup. Now, I'm going to hand over to you, Stephen, with regards to this lineup, because this is, to be fair, it's the lineup I probably would have gone with. I'm probably sure Lottie, it would be very similar, if not exactly the same. But I know this was a team that you put together, obviously in preparation for tonight's show. So I'll hand over to you, Stephen, to obviously go through the team, reasons why this is the team you put out against Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep this short and sweet. The majority of the side picks itself. A few sort of questionable ones at the minute. Obviously, Nuno Tavares, I thought, had a poor game against Liverpool. And I said on the preview show last Friday, for me, KT should have been playing. He had more experience. He's a better defender. And we needed that against Liverpool. So I think Tavares needs to come back out, and we need to put Tierney back in. As I said, he's a future captain of this team. So why is he sitting on the bench? It's ridiculous. And I can see why Nuno Tavares kept the spot. He had been playing well, and he hadn't done anything to justify being dropped.
Yeah.
But he has now. So I think it's time it makes it right. Get Tierney back in. The other one then was I've gone for Ainsley Maitland-Niles over Sambi. Now I know you're not going to like this, Lottie, because I know you're a Sambi fangirl, but he was very poor against Liverpool. He was very poor. And he got hooked after 60 minutes. And I think it could have been a lot worse if he hadn't have been hooked. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I thought, had a very good game against Watford.
Yep.
And I think it was slightly harsh that he didn't get the call for Liverpool. So I think give Sambi a break, put Ainsley Maitland-Niles back in there, and give him a chance. Let him see what he can do alongside Partey in the midfield. The only sort of questionable thing I have at the minute, and I want to get your opinions on this, Saka. Now, this is going to be controversial because
Lottie's gearing up.
Yeah, we all call Saka the star boy.
Oh, yeah, gosh. Yeah,
and I love Saka just as much as anybody else. But this season in an Arsenal shirt, and I'm not talking about in an England shirt, in an Arsenal shirt, what has he done?
He scored against Spurs.
So 1 goal.
I think.
Do we know his stats?
He's got 1 goal this season in the Premier League.
Yeah. Do you know what?
I don't think he has any assists. Or maybe he's got one assist.
I think he's got one because I think it was
had
the
one.
assist on Smith Rowe.
He had one when he set up Smith Rowe.
11, 12 games, 1 goal, 1 assist.
I'll give this one to you, Lottie. What are you thinking?
We have a £72 million winger on the bench who can't get a game.
Do you know what? I do honestly think he's still burnt out from the Euros. He hasn't had a break. He doesn't get rested. We rely on him and Smith Rowe so much. It's ridiculous. And now with the potential Smith Rowe going up with Bukayo, I think it's going to be an issue because we rely on them so much. They carried us last season and they're still sort of doing it because our strikers aren't performing. Well, I can't say that about Lacazette, but our main man, our captain, is not performing. I mean, he dropped off at Liverpool. I didn't even realise he was on the pitch until the commentator mentioned him. Or no, it was the offside play he had with Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
We spoke about that on Monday, so I won't go too much into it. But yeah, no, I honestly think he's burnt out. But I remember sitting there for the AFC Wimbledon game. I know it was a few weeks back, but I had seats down the front in block 2, and him, Smith Rowe, and Balogun were all warming up, and you could see the pair of them standing there hating being on the sidelines. They just want to play football. That's all they want to do. You can see even when he's warming up, you can see he's watching every single move of the game, and he just wants to be involved. He doesn't do well sitting on the bench. He's one of those players, and that's something I do absolutely adore about all three of those players. But he needs to learn when to say, look, I need a break. Arteta needs to learn. He needs a break. I need to get someone else in. But I've also got to say Pepe's not exactly flavour of the month amongst the Arsenal fans. So after Crystal Palace, I'm raising question marks over him.
But it's interesting you should say that, though, because Pepe got a lot of stick, and I was one of them, gave him a lot of stick about the Palace game. He actually was involved in 2 of the goals in that game, which was interesting. And I think it was Stephen that actually said that to me, because I wasn't best pleased with his performance. I thought he had a terrible game, but he did actually have a hand in 2 of the goals in that match. And when you actually look, because I know, obviously, you've not done a G Talks show in a while, but last 2 weeks. But when we looked at split opinions on Odegaard and Pepe, when you actually look at, I did a comparison of Pepe's stats. And I know some people say it wouldn't be fair to do that comparison with Smith Rowe and Saka because they're young. But at the end of the day, they're in the team. So if they're in the team, we should be able to make comparisons to other players. And when you actually look at the stats over the last 2-3 seasons, and I do take in context that ESR has only been in like this season and last season, Christmas, etc., and so forth, Pepe's stats are significantly higher than most of our forward players. So it is interesting as to why he gets a lot of stick, and it's also interesting that I would say Arteta agrees with most Arsenal fans because he doesn't seem to get as much game time. But I was thinking about this game when I saw your lineup, Stephen, and before I saw your lineup, I actually thought that this could be a game where I believe we could afford to potentially, I wouldn't necessarily drop Saka and Smith Rowe, but I personally wouldn't be, furious or disappointed if I saw Pepe and Martinelli play in place of Saka and Smith Rowe tomorrow. And that's merely because of the fact, like you said, I said Saka is star boy. He is one of the fans' favourite. He is Hale End. So I don't think he's ever going to get the same level of criticism as, say, a foreign player like Pepe, is going to get, given his transfer fee, etc. I think we always going to have favouritism towards him, but he's not had a good start to the season. And I think tomorrow lunchtime game is definitely a game where we can drop Saka and we can put Pepe in there for me on the right hand side. And given obviously Smith Rowe's having an amazing season, so I can imagine some fans, if we drop Smith Rowe and we don't get a result, I can imagine the reaction. But I do feel like a game like tomorrow, you could potentially give Martinelli, a chance, even if it's just for the first half. in that game and see how he does. Because let's face it, he's not ready. If he's going to be centre forward, he's not ready for that role yet. And I think when I've seen him at his best, it's been on the left-hand side. So although I look at that team, and to be honest, I can't fault it for whatever reason, I do think, there is an opportunity here against Newcastle to potentially field, Pepe and Martinelli. If, for whatever reason, because Arteta's not really thrown us a curveball recently. His lineups have been pretty bang on in the last couple of weeks. But if he did... What's that?
Sorry, just before you ask what you're going to ask, can I just sort of interject and say why I didn't put Martinelli in ahead of Smith Rowe?
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you.
All right, okay. Because I had a similar thought to what you're having. The reason I'm saying that Smith Rowe is because he has a good understanding with Tierney, and Tierney has been out of the squad for a month.
Yeah.
So when Tierney's coming back in for his first game in a month, you want to play him with someone that he has a good understanding and a good familiarity with. That's why Smith Rowe over Martinelli. He doesn't seem to play as well with Martinelli. So when he's just getting back in, it's more important to get Tierney back into the side and settled than it is to get Martinelli into the side and settled. Yeah,
definitely.
So that was the reason. Yeah.
So if we had a curveball tomorrow, because like I say, Arteta's selections have been pretty, predictable in many ways, which isn't always a bad thing. But if he did throw us a curveball and we did see the likes of, Pepe and Martinelli playing in place of the two hair-led boys, would it raise eyebrows for you? Would you be concerned?
No.
Lottie?
Do you know what? I've just seen one of the comments, and I've got to be honest, I'd still play them, but do you know what? I'd send a message to Aubameyang and bench him for Martinelli.
Yeah.
He's not performing. Get someone who wants to perform, who wants to score. I've just seen this in the comments, so I do apologise, Ben, but I really can't agree more with it. Throw him in, send a message to Aubameyang. You're not performing, I'm going to put someone on who wants to get the goals, who wants to perform, who gives 110% every game.
Yeah.
And Ben makes a good point. He really does. Obviously, we'll pull the comment up in a bit.
Yeah.
I'd throw Martinelli in there. Other than that, I'm happy with that. I couldn't agree more with the Kieran Tierney choice. That's actually my exact team for my Fan Hub app, which I did stick together this evening. So, guys, you need to do that tonight because you need to get the points and come and knock me off the top with that leaderboard. I'm sitting pretty at the top. Well, actually, I'm second at the moment. I got knocked off last week. But yeah. No, I definitely. Aubameyang needs to be sent a message. To be honest, because he's apart from the Spurs goal, he hasn't really done anything. He really hasn't. I know he did the whole Thierry Henry celebration, but he's not doing it for me again. He's firing on hot and cold, and at the moment it's just cold.
Yeah, no problem.
But I completely agree with that.
Cool. Gonna go through some of these comments now. So Matt here, as much as I enjoy the women, I just think that the Edville has come in nearly 6 months in, and his style, and you know what's going on. Perhaps, as you have mentioned, you might have to look at the future. We've got Mike here. It's boring to watch. Keith here saying, "Yep, 100% agree." I'm not sure if that's that comment or to the team that Stephen put up. I think it's more to do with Stephen's selection, but let us know, Keith. Antonio, good evening. Bring on Newcastle tomorrow. We got this, no doubt. Keith again, I'd rest both Nuno and Sambi and bring them on last 20 when they're tired legs to exploit. Could build the lads' confidence after Liverpool. Matt again, Saka needs a rest. He's been going for nearly 12 months non-stop, and England call-ups don't help. 100% agree.
He had a month off, so that's not enough.
It's a lot of football for a young lad.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree. We 34 back. I'm not even gonna read the rest of that one. You're playing with us. Ben, overall, we don't score enough goals. Uber, Laka should be doing more. We rely too much on ESR and Saka. I've thrown Martinelli and Football. Yeah. it is something, you know, that needs to be addressed. We won't touch upon it tonight, but we probably will do a show at some point. Maybe that might be the next G Talks and situation with the forwards. But yeah, it's a massive issue for us in terms of scoring goals. Matt Roberts, opportunities are a good thing, but how many of those do you need to put the ball in the back of the net with Uber in his current form?
Okay.
Definitely not firing all cylinders. Chris, Arteta curveball is more likely Chambers at right back.
No, nobody's getting ahead of Tomiyasu. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I really can't see that. Like, credit to you if you get that right, but I personally can't see that. Can you see that happening, Stephen?
No.
Keith says to Bennett, I've been cold on Uber since West Ham Arsenal 3-3 last season. Totally agree. Gabby for Uber. Don't even know how he still got the armband. But you know what it is though, yeah, with this whole like, and I'm gonna breeze through these comments because I'm aware of time. But I have to be honest, like, as I know Uber's not the Uber of old, but at the same time, you know, I can't remember who it was that we played, and Martinelli did play up front, and he honestly looked lightweight and he looked dreadful up top. I can't really remember who it was that we were playing against. I think it might have been
Brentford in the first game of the season.
Yeah, it was last season.
No, Brentford in the first game of this season.
Was it this season?
Brentford, when Balogun and Martinelli played.
Yes.
And Oba had COVID.
It was
but
awful.
Do you not, I'm going to throw a question at you now, G, because you've been asking those questions tonight. Would you not think it would help with Lacazette in there, with the experience behind him?
Potentially,
what he's doing.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, we cannot play him as a lone striker.
No.
He needs,
but with Lacazette behind him,
to him, or playing deep.
Because I think there's something there.
Yeah, that could potentially work, because I think Stevens touched upon it a lot of times in previous shows. You know, his build-up play is not fantastic, Martinelli. You know, he does put a lot of passes astray. He's not great in the build-up, but in that box, he's electric. You know, and if you can get a ball in behind the defense, he's quick. You know, so he's got the attributes to be really good up front, but he's not the most rounded player when it comes to kind of build up play and stuff like that. So you know, you make a good point, Lottie, in terms of having Lacazette, you know, in and behind him, that could potentially work. Chris says here, Balogun for Uba, another hat-trick tonight in the youth team. For me, I don't believe Balogun's ready, but we were discussing this off before we came on the stream. And I think we all kind of unanimously agree that he should go on loan in January. But for the first team, for me, not ready. What about you guys?
He's too good for the under-23s, as I said to you before we started. And he's not good enough for the senior team yet. He needs to go out on loan. Preferably for me, Championship, and then come back to us. And then we've got a new striker, haven't we, really?
Yeah. If you could send him anywhere on loan, Stephen, what club would it be?
Middlesbrough.
Okay, why?
Chris Wilder.
Okay.
I'm making these answers short and simple for you.
Yeah, keeping it short and simple. I love it. Guna. I've not seen that name before. Apologies if you have been watching before, but that does seem like a first or a new name. So welcome if you are here for the first time. If you aren't and you've been here before, apologies, but welcome to the show. Big up, guys. Come on, you Gooners. The team except Uba. Okay. And it was West Bromwich Albion. Yeah, I'm sure it was. It was, yeah. So it was Brentford this season, but it was West Brom last season, and he was bad.
Could have been West Brom in the cup though this season. I think he played as well.
I think it was the cup. He played in the cup.
I don't think it wasn't in the cup. Eddie played, didn't he?
In the Carabao Cup? No, I think.
Was it? I can't remember. I'm getting my games mixed up, but all I do know is anytime I've seen Martinelli up top, he's just not looked the part for me. So as much as I'm not thrilled with Aubameyang at the moment, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of Martinelli up top. I have to be honest. Martinelli started against Chelsea too. He's just not strong enough to play the lone striker role. I personally agree with that.
Do you know what? With the Chelsea comment, we're not competing with them anyway. So I can't really exactly agree with that. Maybe I'm sorry. I just can't.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying in terms of that Chelsea, particularly as opponents, but I just feel like whenever I've seen him in that central role, he has looked pretty lightweight. But yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, football's about opportunity. So if he can get an opportunity, we wish him all the best. But yeah, I have to be honest. I would feel a bit uneasy if I saw him as centre forward. But look, if he gets a chance, he gets a chance. Chris here, I would send him to Derby, playing under Rooney. Plus, they need players, so he would get plenty of first-time games. Uber played in the West Brom Cup game as he scored 3. Okay.
Yeah,
and
Martinelli came on 76 minutes.
Yeah, Martinelli came on in the West Brom League Cup
game. Could
be
the West Brom game from last season.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I don't remember who it was or when it was, but yeah, it weren't great. But in terms of obviously, we've gone through, more or less all we can with regards, obviously, looking ahead to the Newcastle game. We've, gone through the lineup and, opinions on who should get picked, who shouldn't. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to obviously see who Arteta actually goes with. In terms of score predictions, what are we thinking? I know, Stephen, you messaged me a confident 3-1. Still feeling confident or more confident or less confident?
Yeah, I'm still going to go 3-1. I think they'll get a goal.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Howe will get a bit of a bounce with them. St. Maximum is always a danger. So, Callum Wilson. There's some good players down there at Newcastle. They really do.
Almiron's not bad on his day as well.
Yeah, they're a much better side than 20th.
Yeah.
They really are a much better side than 20th. But, I'm more than confident we'll beat them.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1. Lottie, what's your score prediction for tomorrow's game?
3-0 to the Arsenal.
3-0 to the Arsenal. I messaged Keith earlier. Keith, mostly Arsenal, messaged you on Twitter because obviously we have our prediction thing where obviously not necessarily a fan, an Arsenal fan, but somebody who's been on the show, etc., can predict the scoreline. And Keith went with a 2-0 to the Arsenal. So Stephen looked up the odds for me earlier, and the odds were 13-2. So we place a £1 bet, and we do that every week in the hope that we get some of these right so we can actually donate some of the money to charity. All the money that we would win from any of these bets do go to the charity, and that's the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance. So if Stephen's going to place the bet, and that will, with returns of, with odds of 13-2, that will return £7.50. So let's hope, because obviously I think we're all going for a win. I'm going to say 1-0. I think Newcastle will have a bit of a bounce back tomorrow with Eddie Howe. I don't think it will be enough, and I think we'll nick it 1-0. So I've gone 1-0, Stephen's gone 3-1, Lottie's gone 3-0, and Keith has gone 2-0. So let's hope, as we've all gone for the win, let's just hope Keith's got it right so we can actually get some money in the bank and send to the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance, because it's a great cause, and obviously we want to make some contributions. And that's about it, really, in terms of obviously, content for tonight's show. We're going to obviously quickly run through the socials and if we've got any other updates. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we kind of wrap things up? No? No problem. No problem. Cool. So any of those of you who are watching, please do put your score predictions in the chat, and I will go through them just before we finish the stream. So with that being said, I just need to find it here somewhere. Could you go through? Well, I don't know. I'm going to go with Stephen tonight. Stephen, you're going to do the honors tonight. Please, maybe go to the socials for me.
I never get to do this.
That's why I did it. Plus, Lottie's done 4 shows this week, and I think she's slightly fatigued.
I'm burnt out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, as G always says when he does this, thank you so much to everybody who's watching live, and thank you so much to everybody who watches this back later on. We really appreciate the support. I just want to say before we read this out, big thank you to Lottie. who's done so much content this week. She obviously had her Arsenal ladies show on Tuesday night, and then had the England Lionesses with Georgina last night, which was brilliant.
100%.
Well done, Lottie.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate the effort you put in. So socials. Obviously, you can follow us on all the major platforms. We are on Facebook at Canon Chatter, on Instagram at Canon_Chatter, and on TikTok at Canon_Chatter as well. And hopefully, we'll maybe start to get a wee bit more on some of these platforms. We don't post an awful lot on there, but it's still worth following just in case. Obviously, mostly know us from Twitter. Where the main account is obviously at Canon Chatter, and we're on the road to 9,000. We're almost at, which when you consider we've only had the Twitter account for just over a year, it's phenomenal numbers. So I would love to hit 10K by the end of the year. That would be brilliant. So make sure and tell people about us. Make sure you tell others to follow us. We'd really appreciate it. If you want to follow me, my account is at SB Canon Chatter. At the minute, I don't post a great deal on it. I just a lot of what I do is retweeting stuff from the main account, because I generally run the main account. If you want to follow G, he is at G Talks Arsenal, and you recently hit 9K.
Yeah, well, I'm on my way to 9.5. I'm coming.
Wow, fantastic. And if you want to follow Lottie, it's at Lottie_B with 2 T's and 2 I's, because somebody beat her to it. Nice. And you are 4,500.
I'm literally 20 off for 4.5K at the minute.
Brilliant, well done.
Climbing.
Yeah.
If you want to read any of Lottie's excellent blogs, they are all available at lottieafc.blogspot.co.uk, or you can read them on the Fan Hub as well.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of places to read them. If you want to purchase any of this lovely Canon Chatter apparel that we're wearing, or I have here hiding the mess, that is a lot of paperwork and stuff that I have sitting about.
Great in the winter. Really great in the winter.
Yeah. We have the hoodies, we have t-shirts, and I'm working on some other stuff as well. Just drop me a DM on at SB Canon Chatter, or you can email us on info@canonchatter.com. Other than that, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit the like button. We have just recently passed the 400 subscriber mark, so thank you to everybody that has subscribed. As I keep saying, make sure and take your friends and family's phones, just log on to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hand on their phone back. They'll never notice. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stephen. You did that brilliantly. That was quality, man.
Stephen. Sorry, guys. Last update. Everybody, if you're playing in our fantasy football league,
yes.
Just a reminder, the deadline for game week 13 is tomorrow at 11 a.m. because of the Arsenal kick off at 12:30.
Yes.
And anybody who's got Chilwell, make sure you bench him because he is out to the mid-January.
Good. And you know what? I've been having a couple of good weeks in that, Stephen. I've got you in my sights. I've climbed recently from, I was 200th. I'm now, I think, 164. Where are you sitting on the table? Do you know, Stephen? I think there's only about 20 or 30 points between us. So, yeah, I've got you in my sights. Lottie, she's up there.
I've just
I can't see Lottie.
I've just cracked the top 50. I'm on 49. And every time I think of that, all I'm thinking of is 49 undefeated.
Quality.
So I didn't think I was going to crack the 40s this week, but
well done.
Cancelo saved my bacon on Sunday. Thank you.
I need to get that guy in my team.
Please keep having good games, my man, and especially Trent Alexander-Arnold. Please.
Cool.
See, I'm not really trying at the minute because I can't win the league. It would just look too suspect if one of us won it.
Well, this is my first year's playing, so I am gonna go for it. I don't care.
Love that.
I'm currently head of. I've also got a bit of banter going with Mobe Gunnar as well. 2 places above him finally.
Cool.
It's good. So come and catch me if you can, mate.
There we go. I'm going to breeze through some of these comments before we wrap things up. So Keith here, West Brom last season, the night we relegated them. Okay, so it was the game then. Chris has gone for 3-0 to the Arsenal. Keith, great show. You sexy people. Love you too, Keith. Tom, interesting stat I've just seen. Newcastle have scored in every game in the league they have played in this season, other than the Chelsea match where they lost 3-0. But I'm still going to go 2-0. Well, yeah, I saw a stat. They've scored more goals than us this season, which quite surprised me. But yeah, that's about it, guys.
They also haven't scored in their last 5 visits to the Emirates.
There you go. And given our defense and the recent performances, I'm pretty confident. But yeah, so look, we've got Newcastle tomorrow. I'm looking for a bounce back. I'm really confident. And I just hope that the lads turn up and deliver, in the game. Lottie, any last words?
Just a reminder to any gooners like myself that are going tomorrow, there are tube strikes. Get moving early, otherwise you're not going to get to the game, and you know what the queues are like to get into the ground. But if you are going tomorrow, stay safe, wrap up warm. It's going to be a cold one, and I'll see some of you down there, obviously.
Wicked. And Stephen, as our usual host for these shows, and you made a return before the end of the show, I'm going to give you the last word traditionally. So take it away, mate.
Pray for me, because I can hear the wind outside and I can hear stuff flying about that shouldn't be flying about. Do you know what, everybody? Have a great weekend. Hopefully Arsenal will give us a great start to it tomorrow lunchtime, and we'll be able to enjoy the rest of the weekend, and then we'll look forward to playing United next week. Just want to very quickly say a quick thank you to Albert from Albert JTV, who stepped in on Monday night short notice when I wasn't well. Really appreciate that from you, Albert. And I am not having the last word because, G, you deserve it. You've hosted so well tonight, so you get to have the last word, buddy.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I don't even know what I'm going to say now. You put me on the spot.
That's a
you know
first.
What? Yeah, you fry shots again, Lloyd. You fry shots.
If he says, do you know what it is? It's going to be a half-hour speech afterwards.
I've got a game to get to tomorrow.
You lot are killing it.
No more speeches, please. See you tomorrow.
You lot are killing it. You know what? All I'm going to say is, come on, you Gunners.